Sure, I live right here on the cul-de-sac before the Lady Christensen. And I'm very concerned about the whole thing. As Dara mentioned, when we moved here, one of the reasons I moved into this neighborhood was because I had two small children. They are now 5 and 9. I wanted a quiet neighborhood where they could have other children to play with, where they could go out on the street a little bit without getting hit and run. Where it would be quiet for us because we came from a place that was rather noisy in Campbell. I have been able to tolerate the baseball and the tennis courts, although sometimes the tennis courts have gotten very annoying. They start at 6 in the morning in the summer. Our bedroom faces the tennis courts. You are now proposing not only to make a noisy community center, which angers me deeply. I have also been calling the city council for a year now, and we were told that we would be informed before any plans were made on anything, and all of a sudden, smack dab, you've got plans up there for a community center. In addition, you're adding 2 tennis courts right in front of my house and my neighbors' houses. I mean, it's just right across the street, plus a picnic area. As it is, it's bad enough in the summer when people start in there with their bands and stereos, and you want to make the quality of our life worse. I don't even know if I could sell the damn house with this going on. I'm angry. I love my house. I like my neighbors. I like where I live. And I feel that you are going to ruin the quality of our life. I am very angry. And the whole thing, the tennis courts, the picnic, I mean, it's like a zoo now as it is, and you want to make it worse. And that's all I have to say.
I suppose I should just tell for the audience, this is just the first shot. You know, this is not a, and we don't have all the money into these plans. These are just the first two we took a look at.
Two conceptual things, and I think
That's
for
right.
the benefit of the last lady, that where it says tennis courts addition, there's another word in front of it that says potential. It doesn't say actual.
Yes,
Potential.
Yeah, I think you also should make the audience aware that this goes before the Planning Commission and back to the City Council after hearings, questions of hours of operation. All of those things are subject to review. But right now, the council, I gather, is trying to get a proposal,
Yeah.
trying to get a project established.
General idea, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
My name is Elva Fernandez, and I live at 21133 Christensen Drive, directly across from the tennis courts. And all I want to say is that, indeed, this has gone way too far for us to cope with at this point. And we would like, as Mrs. Perlman indicated, to be involved in what is going to happen with this land, and also in solving perhaps some of the problems that we are facing now. So, her suggestion of a community meetings perhaps should be addressed before you even go any further with this plan.
My name is Sally Brennan. I live at, not anywhere near this place. I live at 19917 Twilight Court, which is directly behind a park. And we moved there because the park was there, so that our children could play there, and put a gate so that our children could go there, and right next to a school. It has been noisy at times, but it's been happy noise, and our children have enjoyed it. The reason I'm here, however, is that I'm director of Cupertino Community Services, which is one of the social agencies that's going to be in that building, I hope, if the building gets to the place where it's actually started. I have been watching the development of this center for some time. I have eagerly looked in the scene, in the Courier, whenever anything has been mentioned of the building. Because of my own personal interests. So I was not surprised, and I made sure I was involved and kept up to date with it. I'm really sorry that the people on Christensen Drive missed those announcements in the scene about what was happening at the City Council. I would hope that they do stay involved, go to the planning commissions, make their needs known, their wants known, and help in the decision-making process from here on out. However, I hope not to go clear back to the beginning, because I would like to see the building and things progress. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Dale Perlman. I live at 21063 Christensen Drive, another one of the frontline troops for this project. And I just wanted to accent a few points that have been heard. Most of them have been well said before me. One was that I've been very interested all the way along in the project and have tried to the best of my ability as a doctor here in the community to keep up. 6 months ago, and again 1 year ago, I called the planning department of the city and I asked specifically, guys, what's going on? I want to be involved. And I was told, the person who can inform you is not here right now. He will call you. He's the only spokesman in the Parks and Rec Department who is authorized to describe what's going on. I said, great. And sure enough, he very kindly called me back, both a year ago and 6 months ago, and told me, Doctor, there is zero going on. The first step has not begun. And doctor, your name will go on a list so that you can participate, and we want to encourage neighborhood involvement, which is indeed what I want. My mind was blown out when 5 days ago I got a letter saying that we were invited to select between two plans for the implementation of this space, when to the best of my knowledge, on canvassing my neighbors, not one single individual has been involved at any phase or been invited to be involved in a direct manner, and no one has found out, despite having called also, to participate in the design of this space. That's one point, that I have sought to be involved and have been told there is no plan, so that to be asked to respond to Plan 1 or Plan 2 on, in fact, 2 days' notice, because we were not allowed to see the plans until Friday. Though we called on Tuesday, we were told, no, you can't have a copy until Friday. The meeting is Monday night. To find out that for the last 2 years, the city staff has had the opportunity to analyze the plans. It seems not practical that in 2 or 3 days the neighbors could organize a suitable response or a rational approach to the problem when the city staff has spent 2 years on it. So point one is, I also would like to second the suggestion that indeed an opportunity be made for community involvement at this point. To the best of my knowledge, there's been no significant community involvement, meaning the neighbors directly involved up to this point. Point two is I'd like to compare this facility, which I think sounds excellent. I would like my children to have the opportunity to use it. My question is this the right place? Can this space and its neighbors absorb this amount of traffic and certainly this amount of noise, and compare it to the Sunnyvale city facility? If we just step back and think, there is a massive green belt all around the Sunnyvale Community Center that makes it compatible with its high density of use. If we look at this, there's only a tree between the edge of the building and Christensen Drive, similarly elves. So that I think, while certainly the goal is extremely meritorious, and I would like to continue to live in Cupertino and that myself and my kids to enjoy the facility, is this the right place? Or is this an overuse, and do we need to look somewhere else? Thank you.
All right, just to staff to clarify that the selection of this site over others was held as a result of several, we had public meetings and they were announced that that would be considered, am I correct? That we went through a process of elimination, considered various sites, and then we came up with this one. But it was done at a council meeting, right? We had, yeah.
It was done through Parks and Rec.
Through Parks and Rec Commission, and then here at the council, the selection of the site. just to
And of
clarify
course, as
that.
far as these building plans are concerned, this is very recent vintage. Consultant wasn't employed until,
September.
September? So this is not 2 years old.
Before we get, John?
No, I just would like to put things perhaps in a little perspective, that there seems to be a conception that what we're trying to do here is approve something. I think what we're trying to do here is actually what you're actually asking for is to develop the project. Right now, we don't have a specific project. The staff has made a recommendation, has started discussion, if you will. I think the suggestion, personally, for some kind of a neighborhood involvement is excellent, because it saves a lot of effort later on, because this is not the proper environment to discuss the kinds of input that I know we're all looking for. I think that I know it's very difficult to know when to begin in certain processes, And believe me, I do a lot of this, so I get involved from both sides of the table. And it's very difficult for people to deal with concepts without something specific in front of them. And so I think what the attempt was to put something specific in front of you so you'd have something to react to. And we're hearing some reactions that are, at certain points, very specific, at other points in general. We've also heard comments about perhaps existing problems that were not known. And I think all these things have to be folded into actually establishing what the program's going to be, and then we can come back and deal with it in a very specific fashion. So at this point, and I think that all the council is of the same mind at this point, is we're really in a very exploratory fashion. We're trying to determine both in terms of uses, hours, configurations, what the actual ultimate disposition of that land would be. And that's where we are. We're not at this point approving or seeking to prove anything. We're really just starting a discussion and a dialogue, and I think a lot of the comments we've heard this evening run in a certain theme and at certain points are very evident. I mean, we're looking for a pleasant neighbor to the neighborhood. We have to find a way to blend what the uses are and the size and magnitude of that facility with the existing environment, with the existing homes on both sides, in fact, across Stelling. And how that's done and how that's accomplished, the hours of operation are a factor in that, the size of the facilities is a factor, access to it, the parking structure or the parking layout. All of these things are components of that marriage. And I think where we are right now is at the beginning of that whole process.
If I could add here, because I heard the comment, someone said, well, you just got the material on Friday. Packets are delivered to council members on Thursday night. So council received material on this Thursday night, and I want to reemphasize what Councilman Gatto was saying, that this is not any final decision. There was input earlier, again, at some of the public meetings, the council making a decision that, yes, the city wanted a community center. It should have certain elements. Things were studied from others. These are things that should be included. And again, I would reemphasize what he said, rather than talk in general where everybody has their own vision of what this is going to be. Having selected an architect, said, okay, come up with a couple of conceptual type plans, then people can react to that. Council can see it, the public can react to it, and we start in. So we really want to reemphasize that. You were not invited here tonight. We are not being expected to say, okay, we're going to pick plan 1 or plan 2 and that's it, and start pouring concrete tomorrow or something like. No. It's a very long process, as been pointed out by the city attorney. We have to go through planning commission. Well, first of all, many things beforehand, then it goes to planning commission, then it comes to council, Parks and Recreation Commission, which again is citizens of this community. They take the input too. So there's a lot in this process that goes on, and that it's not any type of a final thing tonight. There was a decision, I would point this out, there was a decision, having looked at various other sites, that this would be the best location for a community center, and that was done, how many months? 6 months, a good 6 months to a year ago, at least. That was kind of the given, and it's trying to make the best, and as Mr. Dowling pointed out in the beginning, it talked always about the extension of the park, and so we said to the architect, okay, come up with some possibilities. And again, keeping in mind, and we've heard things about Christensen that, okay, don't try and impact that with traffic there. Alves, those are things. Pointed out the shortcut now to Alves. That's something we may want to hear from the residents. Do they have some, solutions? Do they, one solution obviously is to close off Antone, but then you've blocked yourselves in too. But, get your concerns out there too and work with you. So I just want to kind of reemphasize and add a little to what John had to say.
Anybody else out in the public who'd like to speak, hasn't spoke?
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Mike Barnes, and I live at 21005 Loretta. That's the house in the corner of Loretta, Stelling, and Christensen. I'd like to make 2 specific points to reiterate comments that have been made earlier tonight. The traffic flow off Stelling, probably onto Alves, although I'm not as familiar with that as I am Christensen, And definitely Christensen has all the earmarks of racing. It's like a race course as you come down Stelling and make a quick left and then try to make a sharp right onto Loretta in order to traverse into that neighborhood. This particular concept that we see on the screen is going to make that problem worse in my mind. And specifically, it'll make it worse if we have that access there going onto Christensen facing the Loretta area. So I think you've got problems that this size facility, spotted where you've got it spotted there with respect to traffic flow, I know on Christensen and Loretta and through that entire neighborhood, and probably on Alves, and certainly we had a neighbor from the Commons area who said much the same thing. Secondly, with this large open area, I can tell you, living 2 blocks away from the tennis courts and the softball diamond, that sound travels, particularly in the evening, sound travels a long way in that neighborhood. The late night concept that we've heard here with respect to functions in the multi-purpose building here, breaking up at 1 p.m. with the attendant noise, will carry blocks. We're probably thinking 4 blocks in a surrounding neighborhood there. That will have a very, very negative impact on my neighbors all the way through this development here up through into the Garden Gate area, and certainly across the street, and certainly all through the Commons. So I think there's some major potential impacts here to the quality of life that have got to be considered as you're progressing on this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else out there like to speak? Wait, sir, before we, is there anybody else?
Anybody who hasn't spoken before?
Anybody who hasn't, we'll go around
First
again.
choices, first time around, then we go to the second.
And Nangok, Cupertino. Now, I know one thing. I've been sitting, I don't miss any meetings, do I? And I know we've been talking about this here. I have always kind of looked forward that I feel the city of Cupertino definitely needs a community center, because I have seen what other cities have, Los Altos, Sunnyvale, and a couple other, well, I'm not going to mention it. But I am also concerned, I mean, the way the residents along there, because parks can be kind of noisy. Although I know, I don't know how many years back that you reserved this area for expansion of a park. But I don't know if I would live in that area, if I would want a community center right along where the 2 streets are like that. Especially, I'm a little bit disappointed to hear in your program that you're going to extend the hours 1 o'clock, like weddings and that. Well, you know, weddings can be very, very noisy because they bring their own orchestra along, and there is drinking, because it's a happy time, and we certainly don't want to deny that. But I don't think we should go into that kind of business, because there are private businesses that provide this sort of thing. Now, everybody is going to come to Cupertino and have their weddings here, because maybe it's cheaper or whatever it is. But now, there are 2 things. First of all, Sunnyvale has a very nice park right on Hallenberg. And have you ever, and you know, there are very nice houses right across the street. Now, have you ever tried to find out how the people along that street feel? I know when I pass by that, it always seems very peaceful. Of course, it's more or less during the day. But another site that I would like to maybe see is, I definitely like to see a community center in Cupertino. We need it. Believe me, we definitely need it. We have to go to other cities in order to provide certain function. How about expanding the senior citizen building? Have you ever kind of considered that? You may have to take some of the park which is already in, you know, in order to expand it. Now, this is just an idea. I don't know, because I'm not an architect. But anyway, I just thought I'm going to throw out that I would maybe much rather see that than go across the street like one gentleman pointed out, and that is where the sandpiper was. I don't know if that really belongs there, because that's a section all by itself. It's a commercial section, and I don't think the city should mix in with the private enterprise. Anyway, let's look into that, the senior citizen. Either go this way or go up, whatever it is. But I definitely feel that we need a community center. We cannot put it in a hillside. I mean, that's out. On Saturdays and Sundays when I pass by on Stevens Creek Road and I just kind of look in there, it kind of feels so good when I see people sitting there having their picnics and all this, and it kind of makes me feel good, because I feel that I am part of it, because I have been working with the city of Cupertino ever since it incorporated, and that was in 1955. So I think I have a little something that I have seen. Anyway.
Thank you, Ann. Okay, Doctor, do you want to say something? Had something to say?
Thank you very much for inviting me to speak again. I just wanted to ask the City Council, is it cast in concrete now that this site is where this building is going to be?
Yeah.
Can that process be reopened? Because that's...
Only if we want to.
If the council wishes, okay. The only voice the concern that it seems an odd choice to place the facility in an area where none of the neighbors knew it was going. That just strikes me as a unfortunate situation, and at least I've yet to find anyone in my neighborhood who knew this building of this magnitude was going to go there. I just wanted to communicate that thought to the council.
Okay, let me just in one sense respond. As far as building of magnitude or anything like that, that again hasn't been cast. The fact that that was designated as the site for a community center almost a year ago by council action, that was known, and the community should have known about that. That was in the scene and other places. That was, we did that in public meeting, and so that is known. As far as any type of building or so, that's why we're up here with conceptual plans and things. But the site, that location, that was a public record type item.
Second question is, what about timetable? What timetable do you see for this project? I have no idea. Perhaps some of the staff could. What is the typical time scale for meetings and then developing? And
I think we have to go over kind of the process, because I think a lot of people tonight, they want to give some input, and I think let's see, any more people that like to speak out there? And we get all the citizens we can, and then we'll just football game. Hey, what do you score? 17 all, that's right.
Back to basics.
The ducks are ahead of the gooses. That's right. We'll be giving paring knives for anybody at 10 o'clock at Memorial Park, so we can...
Duck l'orange tonight.
We have people from Owls here. I would like to see a show of hands. Who's from Owls?
Which side? You mean the other side of Owls or in the comments?
In the surrounding area. I just want to know who's here from Owls. And then, is there anybody here from Stelling that's adjacent to the park? And then Christensen seems to be here.
They're out there. All right.
I was just wondering...
Sir, can we have your name and then sign it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then use the mic, please.
You can tilt that up, too.
Oh, yes, sure.
My name is Dan DeAustin, and I don't know, it's pretty emotional here tonight. I've seen a lot going on in Cupertino, and it's going to be a monument. It's going to be something that stands out in Cupertino, and I was just wondering, we've got all the surrounding areas. We don't have anybody in depth probably on the blocks over, but I was just wondering, by a show of hands, is there anybody here that's lived here longer than 30 years?
Read? Yeah, there's four of us. Okay, let's make the decision.
Let's drop it back down. We'll start in five-year increments. People that have been here for 5 years or more.
I suppose.
Okay, let's go 10.
You're supposed to go through. You're supposed to go look at me. I mean, I hate to say that. I understand your point.
Well, what I'm trying to point out is, you're going to cut off an opportunity for these people that have been in Cupertino for much longer. It's been incorporated since 1955. I mean, and they're looking for a spot, like Sunnyvale. The lady pointed out. has a community center, Mountain View, Los Altos has a community center, somewhere that the community revolves around. And I just kind of feel like, you know, you're shutting off a lot of people that are not even going to have an opportunity, that probably aren't even aware that this is going to come about, but you were aware that there was going to be something taking place in that orchard, and you had the opportunity to move other places up in the hills if you
It's like
wanted
now
to.
you're playing to the crowd again and not to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to find, you know, there aren't too many people here that have any years background.
Okay, sir.
I
Sir,
mean-
wait. We
Okay,
don't,
let's have an argument
yeah,
here.
yeah, no debates between the
Well, anyway, I just wanted to point that out, and that this is progress, and this is the 20th century, and things go on.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Wait a sec. Wait, you don't need. Okay, corral time is not. Yes, ma'am. Yes, yeah.
Go on.
I am Helen Pancharian, and I am on the Park and Recreation Commission. I came down here for a different purpose tonight, but I would like to point out to the people that live on Christensen that there is hardly a place in Cupertino that doesn't have traffic. They don't want traffic on their street, but they're putting traffic on somebody else's street. Another thing, it was implied that the parties at the community center, if we get it built, would be noisy and too much alcohol. The Park and Recreation has rules about that. They have a person that supervises the parties as far as alcohol is concerned, and I never heard that there were very many complaints about that, and I've been on the commission for 6 years. Let's see, what else was I? Another thing, I don't feel that a few people, although they are inconvenienced, should make it difficult for a lot of people that are hoping for something better for our city and something they can use. Certainly, our senior center has been a benefit to a great many of us, and we had to put up a big argument to get that. What I intended to say when I first came here was, as a representative of the Cupertino Historical Society, we hope to have space in your new community center for our museum, and we intend to take care of whatever we place there and have people to guide other people and explain it all to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's, okay, I'll move it. Entertain a motion, or do you want to?
Well, this wasn't really a technical public hearing where we have to go through and close it, so just, Steve?
I think the issues are pretty well identified at this point.
Steve, what further did you, beyond here, Council, as far as, we've heard some of this and proceed, next step?
You mean the next step in the process, or?
Okay.
Yeah, what we need to do now, the question came up about what is the timeline, and we are a good year away from any groundbreaking, so there is a lot of this kind of meeting that has to occur. This being the first in a series, what we need to do is, if possible tonight, establish the criteria for the location of the center, the parking, the issues that I mentioned earlier on, so that the Parks and Recreation Commission and the committee can work with the architect in the design.
Okay.
Now, if the process is an issue, then that's something that we need to reevaluate.
Well, if you're looking for some general criteria, and again, even in the public hearings, those things can be fine-tuned. I guess I'll jump in by stating a couple things. What I would like to see in general. I think some things we've already kind of touched upon. One, to maximize the parking, the entrance coming in off of Stelling, so that we're not bringing them down Christensen and Alves. Alves a little bit, I think, because there is a section of the park over there anyway, and that in some ways maybe some parking over there would relieve it. As far as, say, looking at the proposed plan 1, if you want to call it, and this one, for several reasons, I personally would prefer something like this. I'm not saying this one cast in concrete, so people understand. Something like this, where there is an exit onto, or where there's a entry-exit way onto Christensen, as was pointed out by the architect, that could be closed off, or you could have it exit only. Again, this be determined with the neighborhood, that possibly as they come out, so not everyone's going back out through that center, but they would not be going in there. I think the plan will not increase any traffic onto Christensen that already exists, because you're not expanding the ballpark or anything like that. In fact, where you have a picnic area, there's some parking, at least in this plan, provided on the other side. So if anything, it probably shouldn't pull any more down Christensen. The other thing I like about this plan, as opposed to the other, as was pointed out in the very beginning, we do have the park that exists there now. Memorial Park is a beautiful one. You've got you aiming toward the park, the hills beyond that. Some sort of configuration like this, where you have it close to Stelling, so that, and you focus out toward that meadow area, going out that way. I think almost any other type of configuration of building, if you have like the Plan 1 said, you'd be aiming, first of all, across a parking lot and aiming toward the commons. If you flip-flop it, your sound is coming out of the building toward Christensen Drive. So this one, I think there are possibilities of where something on the order where if you're going to have where there would be some sound, and again, even with, there are various mitigating factors you can use to deaden sound and the like, to get it out toward that. You have the view out toward the meadow, and in this plan there's some sort of garden court.